In terms of your acting careers, what do you do to drum up work for yourselves? What's your day like?
Good question.
Gosh, I mean, it's such a anything and everything. I mean, nowadays with Facebook and, you know, it's like you're trolling for things going on and who's doing what, and, you know, it's still the same for me at least to just say yes to every single last thing, unless it's just you can sniff out something that looks like a dead end. Or
I just try to meet people that I respect, and if I like their work and I like them as people, I want to be their friends. And then when you become friends with somebody, you want to work together, you want to create things together. So there's a lot of ground up things where you keep throwing stuff at the wall and 90% of it doesn't happen, but the 10% that does happen, it's usually working with really smart, talented people that you love. And that's very much like what this movie is. You know, we're a family, and you create fun stuff, and then you get to hang out with each other for the following year, traveling around with it. It's cool.
Yeah, I would say a big part of it, especially like in the independent film scene, is like networking, you know, and just enlarging your circle as time goes on with your work. And I think personal relationships, like Jen says, is a really big part of it, especially I think for like the independent film scene, because it's a small world.
Yeah, and Spielberg can get so pushy too. He's always like, Jen, let's work together, and I'm like, back off, dude.
Just real quick before we wrap up, what's your take on social media? You mentioned Facebook, sort of trolling it, looking for opportunities in some sense, but a lot of people are sort of turned off by having to spend so much time there promoting themselves. So what's your take about Twitter and Facebook and now Google Plus? It can become a chore in itself to navigate all that.
It's a little bit of a part-time job, but it's so useful, and you get to connect and share what you're doing with your friends and your acquaintances and colleagues, and you also get to see what they're doing, and you get to support each other, and it feels really great to be able to go to see their movies and they come to see your movies, and it creates this really supportive circle.
Keeping each other inspired is a big thing too, just during the down times in between roles, and you know, but there's a fine line of wasting your time too, and not actually being in a, you know, creative environment physically with people, than just you know, wasting time on the computer.
And interestingly, it should be said, for a small film like this, social media really is important and can play a crucial role. And in fact, we're working with like Tug, for example, to try to get more screenings in cities where the film, as of now, is not playing. So
people can request a screening in their hometown, and if enough people sign up to go to the screening, they'll bring it to really any theater in the United States. It's a new thing that they just launched in March, but it's really cool, and they're working with us to do that, to bring it more widespread around the country.
Well, you mentioned downtimes, and as creative people, we all kind of go through this bipolar ride. What are the movies that you watch to take you to a happy place? PG or rated R?
I like depressing movies that make me cry.
Do you?
Yeah, not even depressing. I like movies that make me feel something really powerfully and strongly, and I don't go as much for you know, fun comedies, although those are great and I enjoy them, but they're just not what I tend to gravitate towards.
I would say specific movies, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining. Both
Those
Jack
are
movies,
uplifting.
They get me fired up, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I'd say for me, It's a Wonderful Life always makes me cry, but at the same time, I find it very inspiring. So. And Jimmy Stewart is one of my favorite actors, so he's my man.